Hey, what's happening? It's Noble Credit here. In this video, I'm going to be reacting to my guy Mike from Mike's Travel and Sense. His video on the Chase 524 rule. His video is talking about how the Chase 524 rule is actually overrated. And I'm going to react to that video because he made some points that I thought were very interesting in that video. And I figured I'd give my 2 cents instead of leaving this long, overdrawn out comment on his video. So he's getting a comment in the form of a video. So make sure you hit the like button for me. Take that 1 split second just to drop a like. Trust me, I'm good for it. The video is going to be fire. Fire emojis in the comment section, 100 emojis in the comment section. And let's jump into this video. I'm going to jump in at around the 2 minute and 5 second mark because that's where he starts talking about the 524 rule being overrated.
But let's get straight into it. So I don't think 524 is as hot as it used to be, honestly. And I think this whole pandemic thing is really kind of exposing that because it's really restricting. So one of the biggest things that I've noticed about 524 and its impact is that it makes you really vulnerable to other credit card companies that are sensitive to basically like high velocity or, you know, basically just having a lot of credit accounts open. So if you go to something like Capital One and you've, you know, went through all your credit cards with Chase and let's say you've only gotten 5 credit cards. Now you have to go to them with all these credit cards, and if a credit card company is sensitive to people that have been opening a lot of accounts in the past, it makes you that more vulnerable to get denied because you started off with Chase, and so now you're X'd out of all these credit card companies that don't want people with a lot of credit history. And now,
all right, so I'm going to stop Mike there, and let me give you a little bit of background on Mike. Mike is what I would consider a military churner. He's in the military and he gets a lot of his credit cards for free, just like me. So his benefit is not having to pay the annual fee for any of the Chase cards, and he doesn't have to pay any annual fees for any of his American Express cards or his City cards once he eventually gets them, once he eventually gets all of them. In this part, he's talking about how restrictive it is and how you have to get all these cards. You got to get 5 cards. And then once you get onto other issuers, and your 5 cards basically look like a lot of inquiries. It looks like a lot going on, and it's going to be harder for you to get approved with other issuers. My answer to that would be not really. So there's strategy with this, and this is where I want my military churners to kind of chime in on. And I actually talk about this in my latest video about strategy. And I've been pretty good about all of my cards and strategizing, just to make sure I'm in the most optimal position when it comes to applying for other credit cards with different issuers, things of that nature, being aware of application rules, sensitivity of certain banks. You get denied, you get approved, but at the end of the day, you want to maximize your approvals as much as possible. So when it comes to his comment about going at Capital One, I think he was just using Capital One as an example, but in case he wasn't, as someone in the military, getting your cards for free from Amex and Citi and US Bank and Chase, you wouldn't go after Capital One. After Chase, you would go to either Amex or US Bank. Now, if you didn't want to wait a long time for US Bank, you can skip US Bank. If I was in the position years ago where I had the choice to go to Amex or US Bank, I would still go with Amex just because I get so many more cards, so much more value, and the waiting for US Bank, it probably wouldn't be worth it anyway. The opportunity cost wouldn't be worth it. But I'm making this point to say, Amex, since it's not inquiry sensitive, this is a non-issue.
not only that, there's also the opportunity cost of focusing on Chase. So I know the thing is, you know, oh, well, 524 is the most limited, so you might as well start with Chase. But realistically, what you're saying is that what Chase has to offer is better than what everyone else has to offer at this very moment, because you're foregoing something that could potentially be better for something that's not actually, like 524 isn't a permanent, you know, death sentence or something like that. Like you only get those 5 cards.
So I might have to rewind because, so the fireworks are really loud right now. So I might have to rewind.
Is that what Chase has to offer is better than what everyone else has to offer at this very moment, because you're foregoing something that could potentially be better for some.
Notice he says at this very moment. I will get into that very soon.
And it's not actually like 524 isn't a permanent, death sentence or something like that. Like you only get those 5 cards and you can never come back to Chase. But
it's not that you can never come back to Chase. It's just that with the track that you want to be on as someone in the military, you wouldn't want to wait 2 years to get back into Chase.
you're foregoing starting those clocks on like some of those hotel cards where you don't get that first night in the first year that you have the card. You have to wait an entire year. So you're foregoing on things like that. And myself, for a prime example, I've actually missed out on what could really be a great opportunity for me as somebody in the military who doesn't have to worry about annual fees. I could have had a decent number more of credit cards if I wasn't so focused on Chase. So right now there are a couple of credit cards that are converting their travel credits into things like restaurant credits and grocery store credits. And the Bonvoy Brilliant with that, I think that's a $300 travel credit that's now converted to, I think, restaurants. The City Prestige. I have the Sapphire Reserve, but my $300 credit hasn't reset, and that's the only credit card I have with a credit that's been converted right now. So the Hilton Aspire card as well. So I've missed out on getting those cards because I've been focused on Chase. And now when I could potentially have a bunch of cards that can give me a lot of credits towards restaurant and groceries, I don't have those cards because I was so focused on Chase. And to be honest,
all right, I'm gonna stop him there. He's talking about missing out on American Express travel credits. Basically, in a video that I released maybe 2 months ago, I mentioned how this is basically credit card Christmas for anyone like me, anyone churning credit cards in the military, going ham. They know how I'm rocking. They know I got hella cards giving hella credits. He's talking about missing out on credits. And I agree with him. It's just the problem is he unfortunately has gotten into this at just an inopportune time. Any other time, this wouldn't be an issue. Any other time, getting your 5 Chase cards, this wouldn't be an issue. But this is such an opportune time to have these American Express cards, these city cards, that it may feel like the Chase 524 rule is overrated. But it's not. It's just that this is a special case circumstance where having high-end credit cards, it's never been a better time to have high-end credit cards. So it could feel like if you don't have these and you know you probably should or could have had them while getting them for free, it could feel like you're missing out. This is just a very special time, something that's never happened.
I think Chase has some good cards, but can you really argue that they have 5 credit cards that are worth missing out on every other credit card issuer? I don't think so.
Could you argue it? Yes. Would you win the argument? Maybe. Chase Sapphire Reserve, Chase Sapphire Reserve, Chase Sapphire Reserve. If you're in the military and you don't have at least 3 Chase Sapphire Reserves, you should at least be working on it. Because starting with Chase,
I started with Chase, then I did the race. You know what I'm saying?
you should at least have a Freedom Unlimited.
That Freedom Unlimited, I know they sick of it. You just wait till the press pause and rewind.
One of those two, a Chase Sapphire Reserve, a hotel card, and then you probably should have added, another Freedom card or something like that to upgrade to another Chase Sapphire Reserve in a year's time if you're in the military. With me, when I started off with Chase, I didn't even realize the 524 rule existed.
I don't understand. What is with 524? Get your rewards. I recorded the song on 524. You needed the score to do it some more. I started around 24. I really do this. My card game is lit. I swear I got like 24.
I got a little lucky. And at that time that I got started with the Chase 524 rule, the IHG card and the Hyatt card, they didn't count toward the 524 rule. So you can get those after you went over 524. So that's why I have 4 Chase cards. I could have had 5 and gotten the Hyatt, but I wanted to be patient. And by the time that I would have applied for the Hyatt card, it was within that same month that they had actually changed the rule and put the Hyatt under Chase 524 rule. So I finished out with Chase with 4 cards. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. I'll take that. Started off with the Chase Slate. Then I got the Chase Freedom and Chase Sapphire Reserve and then the IHG. Now I have 2 Chase Sapphire Reserve because I upgraded that Freedom card. And then I upgraded the Chase Slate to a Chase Sapphire Preferred just because I didn't have the credit limit amount to make it a Chase Sapphire Reserve. Maybe one day I'll get that extra $5,000 to make it a Chase Sapphire Reserve, but for now, we're cool. We'll cross that bridge at another time.
I I think you can definitely go into it and probably get away with 3 credit cards and then just circle back for the rest. At best, I don't think there's 5 credit cards that Chase has.
You wouldn't want to circle back for the rest. And I get what he's saying, but if you're in the military and you're doing this, there are so many cards that you need to get. Circling back, like I don't know when I'll ever circle back. This stuff takes years to do. I don't know when I will ever circle back because I don't know when I'll ever be under Chase 524 ever again.
It's really worth missing out on every other credit card and foregoing that cost of time. It's really like sticking around high school when you should be in college at this point. And this is really frustrating because a lot of people encourage you to burn one of those slots with a freaking Freedom card, which I think is a bad move.
Not a burn slot. If you listen to what I just said about upgrading the Freedom card to a Chase Sapphire Reserve.
I don't think the Freedom cards are really all that, to be honest. I don't like rotating category cards. I've made that very obvious in some of my other videos. I don't like rotating category cards. I don't like dynamics of cards that I can't control. I like to be able to know that I can use this card for this specific
There's nothing wrong with his personal preference here. I just thought I'd add that.
Purpose. So I don't think the Freedom cards are worth it. What I would do if I was starting over is I would build up my credit. I would build up my credit some other way. There are plenty of ways to kind of build up credit. So like Affirm or basically like these other things on the internet where you can pretty much like put something on a line of credit and pay it off. So purchases of all kinds of things. So you can do that, build up your credit because they do actually report to the credit bureau. So you can build up your credit off things like that and then go to Chase with a decent credit score. And though I'm not the biggest fan of the Sapphire Preferred, you can start with the Sapphire Preferred and then just upgrade to the Sapphire Reserve once your credit score is a bit better. That's what I would do. I would not jump into the Freedom cards. So yeah, ultimately, I think 524 is a bit overrated at this point. And
just to preface something that I think I touched on, you have to jump into the Freedom cards, the Freedom Unlimited, the Freedom, or the Slate in order to get multiple Chase Sapphire Reserves, which if you're in the military, you should be trying to get, you should have already gotten, or you should be on the verge of getting. Maybe not now. Maybe COVID has kind of messed up your churning, but making sure you know that.
I'm not going to flat out tell people not to adhere to Chase 524 because I do think Chase is a good place to start, but I think it isn't as like default as it has been in the past, or it's definitely presented to people as like you must adhere to 524. I think if you want to do 3 cards and move on, I think that's perfectly fine. Personally, I only have.
So I don't have an issue with the 3 cards and move on. Obviously, ideally, you'd want to have all 5, but I don't really have too much of an issue with that, especially during a time like now where there's so much value. And to be clear, right now, it makes it extremely difficult to just sit back and watch all of these travel credits going by. But I just wanted to make it clear that it's only a result of the times that the Chase 524 rule could be seen as overrated, not because it is overrated in and of itself.
The United Infinite Plus card, the Sapphire Reserve, and then I pivoted to one business card. I'm gonna get the Hyatt card, and then I'm probably just gonna hightail it out of Chase because
I think he was saying that he's gonna do 4 Chase cards and then he's done.
like I said, I've already kind of burned myself on some cards that I could have had, and now I'm missing out on those grocery and restaurant credits. But now we're at the end.
So I can see the frustration because it's literally in the thousands. It's literally thousands of free dollars that he's missed out on, and I feel bad for him, but it's just what happens, man. When I first got into credit cards, I missed out on getting the Ritz card. You know, I wanted the Ritz card so badly after I realized that I wanted it, and the very second that I realized, this was like July 2018, they canceled it. I was like, what? There's no way. There's no way they canceled the Ritz card. But they canceled the card.
End of the video, and it's time for the subscriber shout out.
All right, so the video was about how the Chase 524 rule is overrated. My thing is, I don't think it's overrated. I just think this is like the most inopportune time, the once in a decade, once in a generation. Stuff like this has never happened. Military churners, we've never been so fortunate to have all this money, all this free money. And if you're in the military and you don't have multiple platinum cards and things like that, man, you got to get with it and subscribe to the channel, man. Subscribe to Nibble Credit. I try to post entertaining credit card videos. I think this counts. I don't think I've seen another credit card YouTuber react to another credit card YouTuber's credit card videos. So make sure you subscribe to Mike's channel as well. I left a link to his channel in the description box below. And with that being said, it's Noble Credit, Noble Gain. Let me know what you think in the comment section, man. We out here. Bah!